B'ezrat Hashem, this coming Sunday, we're going to be commemorating the fast of Yud Zayin B'Tamuz. I should have actually started by saying, B'ezrat Hashem, we will not, because Mashiach will come, but if Chas v'Shalom, Mashiach will decide to wait a few more days, then on Sunday we're going to be fasting to commemorate the day of Yud Zayin B'Tamuz, even though this year is going to fall on Shabbat, so the fast will be on Sunday. But real Yud Zayin B'Tamuz will be on Shabbat, which is very important based on what we're going to learn now, that we also understand what we need to do on Shabbat, even though we're going to be fasting on Sunday, but the actual day of Yud Zayin B'Tamuz will be on Shabbat. Now before we learned a little bit the basic laws, halachot, what we need to do on the fast, now we're going to dig a little bit deeper into this day to realize, what can I derive out of this day? If I let days pass and I don't do anything, then I lose an opportunity. And everything that happens in our history doesn't happen by chance. Nothing is flipping a coin and Hashem says, okay, let's just do it. It has a deeper meaning. And needless to say, such a day has an opportunity. Now it says in the book of prophets, specifically in the prophet Zechariah, in chapter 8, verse 19, it says, Ko amar Hashem, this is what Hashem said, Tzom ha'Ravi'i v'tzom ha'Chamishi, v'tzom ha'Shvi'i v'tzom ha'Asiri, the fourth fast, the fifth fast, the seventh fast, and the 10th fast, Yeh lebet Yehuda l'sason u'lesimcha, to the house of Judah will be a time of auspicious time and for happiness and to rejoicing. Ulemoadim tovim, and for good festivals. These days are going to become festivals for us. Not only that, va'emet va'shalom ahevu, and the truth and peace is going to be dwelling amongst us. So needless to say that this is already a good news that these days are going to turn to become something very, very positive. So obviously there's something positive already hidden in the core of it. Now it's just coming out as something negative, but obviously there's something more deeper. Now, we're going to concentrate on the fourth fast. It's called fourth, not because it's the fourth in line, or because it's on the 4th of the month. Some people say, oh, the 4th and the 5th, the 7th and the 10th, maybe it's referring to the date of the month. It's not referring to the date of the month, and it's not referring to the 4th in line. Rather, it's referring to its connection to Pesach, because it's the fast that comes after Pesach. We'll explain that in a minute. But nevertheless, on this day, on the fourth fast, it's when the walls of the second temple were broken, which led 3 weeks later to the destruction of the temple. And again, this was the second temple, even though we mentioned before, based on the Yerushalmi Talmud, it's also the first walls of the first temple also were destroyed. Now, these events that happen, we call it an external event. But an external event is coming to signify something very deep in my soul. So we're not going to now analyze the severity or the size of the event. But something like the destruction of the walls, we'll define it as now as an external event. Why external? Because it happened in a very physical way. But nevertheless, it's coming to signify something that is coming from a very deep place in my soul. And we have to look at this fast not only as a mourning. We have to look at something much more deeper than that. What we refer to as the pnimiyut, the essence of everything. You can always look at things from the external part, and you can go a little bit step deeper and look at something more inner. Usually the external part and the internal part are not equal. And if you really focus on the more essence of things, you see a completely different thing. So we have to look at the fast not as necessarily the external part of the commemorating of the destruction, rather look at something very special from the inside. Now, why is it called the fourth fast? because what happened right after Pesach. This is the fast that came after Pesach. And what happened in Pesach? Pesach, we left Mitzrayim. So Pesach was on Nisan, so you count Nisan, then Iyar, then Sivan, then Tamuz. 4 months passed from going out of Egypt. That's why it's called the fourth fast. Not because it's fourth in line, and not because on the fourth of the month, just because it's 4 months after Pesach. Now what really happened on Pesach, besides that we eat matzot? What happened is on Pesach that we left Mitzrayim. And if you're looking at the historical event, then we relocated. But if you're looking at the mystical event, is we went out of our boundaries. We went out of our state of limitation. And every day up until today, we're still every day required to go out of our limitation. Our sages say, "B'chol dor v'dor chayav adam lirot atzmo כאילו הוא יצא ממצרים." Every generation, a person has to see himself as if he went out of Egypt. The Baal HaTanya says, in every day, a person has to see himself that he left Mitzrayim. Now Mitzrayim, we're not referring to the country. Mitzrayim comes from the word in Hebrew. The word in Hebrew, Mitzrayim, is coming from the root Meitzar. Meitzar is a limitation. We're all limited in one way or another. One person, their limitation is alcohol. Another person, their limitation is cigarettes. Another person, their limitation is their phone or Facebook or whatever other junk that the people are depending on. I'm not saying it chas v'shalom to hurt people's feelings, rather to say, this is my limitation. Something is limiting me. And sometimes I have 20 things that limit me. When I became observant, then the first thing that was on my agenda was not to put a yarmulke on. It took me 3 years to put a yarmulke on. Yes, so right away I started putting tefillin on. I needed a few mitzvot, so I used to put tefillin on, and I didn't mix meat and dairy. That was the first move. But my thought process was, before I can become observant, let me first get rid of the junk. How can I clean the house if there's still dirt inside? Let me get rid of all the dirt, then I can start making the house neat. So I put myself to the challenge of getting rid of anything that I'm dependent on. And I was like, I cannot serve Hashem if I'm dependent on something. Why would I go run and pray if I'm dependent on something that will pull me away from the praying? So I had to slowly get rid of anything that I'm dependent on. In our generation, they call it an addiction. It's not a nice word to hear. You're addicted to this, you're addicted to that. It's not the word you want to hear. But the reality is that if I'm dependent on something, that's an addiction. I can't live without it. So my first steps of becoming observant is to get rid of that. Because my miracle happened on Pesach. My near-death experience happened on Pesach. That's when I first understood how 3,400 years ago the nation of Israel went out of Mitzrayim. That's the day that this godly light came into the world and permeated the power that anybody can go out of their limitation. And the nation of Israel went from slavery into freedom. And I related it that I'm going out of my physical slavery into my spiritual freedom. It was a turning point in my life. And it all happened on Pesach. So I understood that God is giving me the opportunity to get rid of the baggage. And He says, you have to do it. I can only bring you to the door. You have to open the door and you have to walk through the door. But you have to do it. And in order for you to move out of your state of limitation, you have to leave everything behind, whatever you are dependent on. So we left Mitzrayim, we not only left a country, we left something behind. That's really the Yetziat Mitzrayim. To really get rid of something is you leave it behind, you don't take it with you. I will never forget. I mean, this is I don't know how you say it in English. In Hebrew, you say nostalgia. How would you say in English? Nostalgia? Okay. So this is nostalgia of Baal Tshuvas, that they talk, how they got rid of their, the ladies talk how they got rid of their pants, of their trousers. Sorry, the UK crowd. And so I remember I had a collection, a very rare collection, it probably will be worth a lot of money. I used to travel a lot, and I used to go to these raves. But then was very rare. Now everybody has iPhones or whatever. I used to record these raves. I had a certain device at the time. We called it a mini DV, no mini disc. I don't remember. It was these little discs that you can record on, and we used to record the raves. It was very rare music, but nevertheless, all crazy and nonsense. But nevertheless, I had this collection. And even when I was already observant, I had a few things that I didn't get rid of. Some of my clothes, and believe it or not, I still have some clothes from then. I still have my clothes. Even one not too long ago, I think for Pesach we were cleaning. I think it was my oldest daughter. Somebody asked me, "Why you keep these clothes?" These few clothes are staying. Believe it or not, I still fit in them. That's the miracle. But nevertheless, I had this collection of these DVDs, these CDs, and when I got rid of them, that was like the last getting rid of the junk. I'll never forget it. I stopped in the middle of the street, stopped my car. It was a garbage bin in the side of the street. I took the box, and I didn't want to look. I just threw it. I went into the car and I drove. And it was like literally leaving the last piece of junk in me, but I couldn't let go. The problem in us is that it's very hard for us to let go of things. And once we have a problem of letting go, then I'm stuck in the past. And I need to know how to let go of things. And you know what? When you let go, you get something better. So I have this vision in my mind how I remember even which garbage can. I remember everything. Where I stopped my car and took this box, and it was like, I can't believe I'm getting rid of that. Even if I didn't, for 3 years I didn't listen to it. It was just there. I was comforted that it was there. And in my tshuva process was constantly throwing things out. I'm getting rid of this, I'm getting rid of that. When we left Mitzrayim 3,400 years ago, we went out of a state of limitation, but we went out of a state that we call it ge'ava, pride. It was a certain pride. 80% didn't want to go out of Mitzrayim. It was too proud to leave. We have a problem with ge'ava. And of course, we left a state of idol worship. And in Hebrew, the words make different meaning. Idol worship in Hebrew is called avodah zarah. Any type of labor that is foreign. Zara comes from the root zar, foreign. And anything that is foreign to me is considered idol worship, because it's not part of my essence and my existence. So we left the state of limitation. We left the bondage of ge'ava, of pride. Pride is the source of all the problems. We started learning a very holy book. It's called Sha'arei Kedusha. We learn it, the men, we learn it every Shabbat. The women, we started learning it. Bezrat Hashem, when I get back, we'll continue. This is the most powerful book to bring you down to reality, let's call it this way. This book is actually a manual how to reach to the Ruach HaKodesh. It was written by Rabbi Chaim Vital. Rabbi Chaim Vital is the dominating student of the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, and he brings it in a system. If you want to reach Ruach HaKodesh is the divine inspiration. Here's a manual for you. Prophet, that's something else. The prophecy has to come from Hashem. But Ruach HaKodesh, here I'll teach you how to get to Ruach HaKodesh. If you can follow the steps, you'll reach to Ruach HaKodesh. And needless to say, there's different levels in Ruach HaKodesh. But in this book, there's a whole section that is called Tikkun HaMidot, the rectification, the refinement of my character, where he explains that the highest of all negative midot is ge'ava, is pride, and that's the source of all the problems. Because pride will birth anger and sadness and anger and frustration and jealousy and all the rest of this diseases. But when we went out of Mitzrayim, we broke that. We went out of the ge'ava. Trust me, you put your pride at home, you'll be the most happiest, successful, content, healthy person in the world. All of our problems is our ge'ava, is our pride. Somebody steps on my pride, that's it. I will get angry, I will get upset, I will get depressed, I will get jealous, and so forth. More than that, we left the state of idol worship. And this idol worship is not necessarily bowing to an idol. This idol worship is that I'm not one with Hashem. Anything that will bring me to a separation from Hashem, that's idol worship. That's why it's one of the severest sins that we have to battle. And again, you say the word idol worship, you imagine a person bowing to an idol. This is not necessarily, of course, it's also idol worship. But anything that will take me away from the oneness of Hashem, that's already avodah zarah. Now, really when we went out of Mitzrayim, Judaism started. That's when we started. That's when we became a nation. And of course, it doesn't call Judaism in the Torah or in anywhere in the oral Torah. It doesn't even use the word Yahadut. Yahadut in Hebrew. Judaism is Yahadut. But this is really when we started. If you want to go back to our roots, of course, before that we had Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and so forth. But nevertheless, when we left Mitzrayim, that's when we became a nation. That's when we were blessed as a nation. We got mitzvot as a nation, and we're becoming we became, so to say, Jewish. That's when it started. Now, we want to understand, because if you really look at our history as a nation, we're probably the nation that has the most problems, the most hardship, the most, what we call in Hebrew, tzarot. They say it in a Yiddish accent, tzurus. This is the nation I cannot even say cursed, because we're a blessed nation. But if you're looking on the surface, I think the nation that can definitely hold the title that we have the most problems. From the day we were created, we just left Mitzrayim already, we got attacked, and for 3,400 years, we are constantly on survival mode. You know how you have on your phone the airplane mode? We are on survival mode. We don't have a break. We had a few breaks here and there, and that's it. So, if this is the case, and there are so many problems in our history, how come our sages decided that dafka we commemorating this problem? You know how many problems that we had? How many tzarot, how many issues we had, how many holocausts we had? But nevertheless, our sages have decided what are going to be the days that we commemorate, and what are the days that we not commemorate. Does anybody commemorate the Spanish Inquisition? Does anybody commemorate many other things that happened in the past? No. I mean, it's one of our scars. But nevertheless, our sages have decided that certain events we'll have to commemorate. And this is one of them. And of course we come to the question, why? Why dafka the 17th of Tamuz? Why Tisha B'Av? Why the 10th of Tevet? Why not many others? I mean, if you go through the calendar, I can assure you that every day we'll have to fast. If we go 3,000 days back, 3,000 years back, we'll probably have to fast every day. The other day, we were praying here, and right after it was mincha, and right after the prayer, the congregation started saying Tachanun. One individual says, whoa, say Kaddish. Kaddish? I say Kaddish. No Tachanun today. Why you don't say Tachanun today? Well, there's a Brit Milah in the shul. Is there a Chatan here? Is there a groom here? Is there a Achnasat Sefer Torah? They're bringing the Sefer Torah. Why we don't say Tachanun? No, because so-and-so is a yahrzeit of some tzaddik. Now, if I'm going to go by the yahrzeit, I'm never going to say Tachanun. I once used to pray in a certain shul. They had a book with all the yahrzeits of all the tzaddikim. We never said Kaddish. We never said Tachanun in that shul. Every day some tzaddik, we never even heard of him. Somebody who lived 5,000 years ago. Oh, today is the yahrzeit of so-and-so, no Tachanun. So some people looking for excuses why to get shortcuts, which it's the complete opposite. On such a holy day that the tzaddik already left the world, this is an auspicious time to say Tachanun. Tachanun means when we fall on our faces, we confess, we do vidui. It's a part of the prayer. Rather use that holy day to say Tachanun, to take the holiness and the greatness of the day to arouse mercy on us. Why would you take a shortcut? So why specifically the 17th of Tamuz is chosen by our sages to be the day that we commemorate? Now, what is our purpose in life? To reach. We have a purpose. If you don't have a purpose, then what are you doing here? We have a purpose, and the purpose is not to make more money or to buy a nicer house or to I don't know what people have in their mind. Our purpose is to reach to a highest level of connection to Hashem. That's my purpose. That's why I came here. I didn't come here to spend my time on anything else but to build a connection to Hashem. Because whatever house I'm going to build in this world is going to get ruined at some point. I'm not taking the house with me. And I'm not taking my car with me, not my degree, and I'm not taking anything. The only thing I'm taking is my connection to Hashem. And we were brought into this world to build a connection. Hashem wanted us to have a greater connection to Him, so He brought us to the world. Now what is this connection? If you remember, 20 years ago when the internet came out, when we wanted to go on the internet, we had to get hooked to a modem, and we would go and get connected on a phone line, and then there was a funny noise, like that, and there was an icon of a computer and an icon of a phone, and some line is going from one side to the other. Remember that? And then when we wanted to send an email, it took about 15 minutes to send an email. Remember that? We would sit like this. Ooh, look, something's coming in. You would write an email and sit like this. Oh my gosh, wow, it's cooking it. And at that time, there wasn't such a thing as looking at videos. And to open a picture would take 2.5 hours. And it would come like, remember that? It would like every time would appear another 2 millimeters. And you would be like, no, what's going on there? To watch a video, there wasn't even something like that. But now, if the email doesn't get sent within a fraction of a second, the computer goes out of the window. So the difference between now and 20 years ago is the connection. 20 years ago we had a modem, it was a connection borrowing space on a phone line. Now we have broadband, we have optic cables, 3G, 4G, whatever G. But now the connection is wide, the transferring of data is much easier. So if I have a connection to Hashem, I also have a definition. What type of connection do you have to Hashem? 1G, 2G, 3G, 1700G. What connection do you have to Hashem? How smooth does the information come from you to above and from above to below? So my purpose in this world is to invest in how am I establishing a connection to Hashem. If you're doing anything by that, you're wasting your time. I'm sorry to tell you, this is our purpose. How do I do it? Through mitzvot, through learning Torah, through helping people, through bringing Kedusha into the world, through refining myself, and a long list of things, what I do to greaten my connection to Hashem. Now, unfortunately, we have many doubts in my service to Hashem. And my doubts are, is what I'm doing right? My doubts are, am I in the right place? My doubts are, does really Hashem care what I do right now? And deep down inside, we also have our doubts with Hashem. What Hashem really cares? Hashem really listens to me? What should I pray? Hashem really cares? We have a lot of doubts. This is called doubts, fekot ba'avodat Hashem. And it can come in many different ways. Most people, unfortunately, they suffer from everything they doubt. They're not sure that Hashem is listening to them. They're not sure they're on the right path, where they live, who to marry. We have a lot of doubts. Now, Hashem gave us, correct me if I'm saying it wrong, a compass. So, you know, the one that shows you the direction? So Hashem gave us a compass, a Jewish compass. Compass. As long as you understood, that's important. Potatoes, and let's call the whole thing off. That's how the song goes? No? So, as long as you understood what I mean, we have a Jewish compass. And this compass is, I'm going to stop saying that word. This word is the will and the desire to be closer to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, to want to be closer to Hashem. If you don't feel it inside of you that you want to be closer to Hashem, then you have to go to the mechanic. Something's wrong in the tuning there, and the fine tuning there. Because I have to constantly have a desire. It's called a ratzon, to be closer to Hashem. Whether I'm going to get there or not, that's a whole different thing. What I'm doing to get there, it's a whole different thing. I need to first develop the desire. Now, how, since we're focusing on the 17th of Tamuz, how does that day bring me closer to Hashem? Which means, obviously, there's something in this day. If our sages came, our sages were not a bunch of people that just sitting there in a room without air conditioning 2,000 years ago and thinking, okay, what am I going to do to annoy these people? That's not how they worked. Each one of our sages, every word that came out of their mouth was divine. They had a very high level of Ruach HaKodesh. Everything that they wrote, everything that they decided, they're not regular humans. They're not regular men that people say, oh, the rabbis decided. Well, these are not the rabbis that are giving classes on YouTube. These are higher level. These were mamash, our chachamim, our sages, and everything that they say and brought down is divine. And of course, they saw something in their level of Ruach HaKodesh. This is the 17th of Tamuz, has the ability of getting me closer to Hashem. Now, if I know how to apply it and what to use on the 17th of Tamuz, it will allow me to be closer to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, which, needless to say, will bring me not only to a higher spiritual level, will also bring me to be more happier, more focused, more healthy, more content, more on top of my game, so to say. I'll be more efficient and much more. Now, we need to know how to use that day to bring me to this closeness. But more than that, we're going to discuss something that is very important. We're not going to have time to go through the whole thing, but we're going to discuss the mystical reason of the 5 things that happen on the Yud Zayin B'Tamuz. I think we'll maybe have time to do 2 or 3. But nevertheless, one thing that we all suffer from, very few people don't suffer from that, is called in Hebrew izun. Izun is balance. Most people are not balanced. They're either too much to this side, or either too much to this side, or they swing from side to side. Very few people are balanced. Now, when you're balanced, then you don't get nauseous. Yesterday we had to drive to Haifa. We had to go to the American Embassy. And you go from here to Haifa through all the hills. Everybody in the car, can you drive a little bit softer? It's not me. I'm not doing anything. And you know, you take these short, sharp turns and up and down. Everybody I see in the car like, so when things are swerving from side to side, you want to throw up. You become nauseous. So most of us are not balanced. If you are focused on the teachings of Kabbalah, you see that the Kabbalah is all based on the structure of the Sfirot. The structure of the Sfirot, even though we paint it as a diagram, it's not exactly like that, because the Sfirot are more accurate to see them from above and not from in front. But nevertheless, we do go by a fundamental teachings of Kabbalah that there are 3 lines. Gimel Kavim, the right side, the left side, and the middle side. The middle side has 2 extra Sfirot. And this is just to teach us that if you want to summarize the whole teachings of Kabbalah in one sentence, is bring yourself to a balance. If you're not balanced, you're lacking. If you're here, then you're lacking from there. If you're here, you're lacking from there. Needless to say, when something is too much, is not good. I like coffee. I have a weakness to coffees. Once I used to drink 15 cups of coffee. Now I put myself under control, so I drink 1 cup, and it will come usually the later hours of the day, because I play with my Yetzer Hara. I don't give him coffee at 12 in the afternoon. So I give him coffee at 4. Shut up, I'm going to tell you when the coffee is coming. But nevertheless, sometimes my kids, they're very helpful kids, and they know that I love coffee. They make me the cup of coffee, and they have some pleasure, satisfaction. Sometimes they go the extra mile. It will come with a nice cookie next to it or something. So why am I telling you all this? Because if the coffee is not done perfectly, and some of the kids, they do it perfect. It's like literally to pleasure. And all you need is to put a few more grains of sugar in it. What is it? What did you put in there? So not too long ago, one of my kids, he's the younger ones, he saw the older ones doing it. He also wanted to make coffee. I take a sip. What did you put in there? Whatever he told me. I was like, it's disgusting. He ended up, instead of putting sugar, he put something else. No, some other substance that looked like sugar. I was like, well, this is disgusting. Of course, I didn't tell him to hurt his feelings. I told him it's amazing. But he's like, so why aren't you drinking it? I'm keeping it for later. So, and every time we would go out of the window, so some cats were like very full of coffee. But nevertheless, of course I'm joking. Nevertheless, sometimes you just add a little bit too much, it's already disgusting. So even when you're on one side, you're lacking from the other side, but it's too much from here, it's also not good. You need to bring yourself to a balance. When a person is balanced, then they're healthy spiritually, emotionally, physically, and so forth. So I have an ability on Yud Zayin B'Tamuz to get all that. Now, what's so special about Tamuz? If you're following us, we have every month a class about the Kabbalistic meaning of the month. And every month there's a certain planet that controls the month. Tamuz is controlled by the sun. The sun is called the Great Light. HaMeorot HaGdolim. When Hashem created the world on the 4th day, He created the sun and the moon, and He calls them the Great Lights, the Meorot HaGdolim. Now, you can look at it as something physical. Sun is a very big planet in our solar system. But if you're looking in the spiritual part, is the great spiritual light. Hashem is also called the light, Or Ein Sof. And we have a problem another one of our many problems, that we have a weakness for pleasure. We are a creature that is looking for pleasure. Whether I get my pleasure from coffee, from chocolate, from a movie, from a vacation, from a beautiful dress, whatever it is, I'm constantly looking for pleasures. And unfortunately, most of us are being driven by the desire for the pleasure. Not necessarily the actual act, it's the pleasure. I told you a few times that once I met an individual, we had a nice, deep conversation, and I was trying to bring some points across. And I was telling him how we are creatures of pleasure, and he didn't understand what I'm saying, and he didn't want to relate with it. And I told him, okay, let's see you, for example. What do you do for a living? So he told me, I'm a lawyer. So I says, oh, a lawyer, sorry. So I said, oh, I didn't know lawyer is a profession. So, no offense to any lawyers, of course. But nevertheless, I told him, so you're a liar. A lawyer. Why are you a lawyer? Are you a man of justice? He's like, what? I told him, do you really care to bring justice to the world? He's like, I don't care about that. So I told him, so why did you spend 4 or 5 years in university to become a lawyer? This is your goal, your great vision, to be able to help the poor people, the ones who are less fortunate. He's like, no. I told him, do you love your job? Are you enjoying your job? He's like, I can't stand it. So how long are you a lawyer? 30 years. 30 years! You are a lawyer and you can't stand your job. So why are you a lawyer? He's like, well, it pays the bills. I says, well, this is not a reason to be suffering for 30 years. He's like, well, it more than pays the bills. I make a lot of money. He says, so you're in it for the money. You want the money. He's like, well, yeah, I want the money. Okay, at least you're honest. Told him, why do you want the money? What does the money help you? He's like, well, I have a beautiful home, I have a beautiful car, we go on vacations. And I was like, but what's your goal here? The money or what the money brings? He's like, well, you know what? I really love cars. I have a collection of cars. He's like, oh, so you like cars? He says, yeah. So I said, you don't like the money, you like the car that the money will get you. Why do you like cars? What, do you like driving 280 kilometers an hour on a highway? He's like, no, well, it's everybody looks, and then he tells me something. He's like, well, the cars, I can pick up the girls. So I says, oh, you like the girls, not the car and the money. You like the girls, and the car just brings you the girl, and the money brings the car. Why do you like the girls? He's like, well, I said, so you like the pleasure of what the girl brings to you. So you don't like the girl, you don't like the car, you don't like the money, you like the pleasure. You're after the pleasure. So you are in a job that you can't stand, doing something for 30 years that you don't like, and you backtrack it, you just want to be pleasured. You just want to have pleasure. That's it. I'm not blaming anybody. Everybody wants to have pleasure, which is built into us. But you see the evolution. So I told them, sorry to tell you, you are miserable. You're in a job you can't stand. You deal with people that you can't even look at their faces anymore. In order to have money, why? So you can have the cars, so you can have... It all boils down to this deep point that I want to have pleasure. And I'm not judging anybody, everybody wants to have pleasure, I'm just trying to make a point. We are all creatures of pleasure, so we like the pleasure, not what brings the pleasure. Do you like the chocolate, or you like the taste, or you like the pleasure that you taste the chocolate, but you run after the chocolate? You're willing to stand in line 30 minutes to that beautiful, amazing caramel ice cream in the heat. You're schwitzing just to get this caramel ice cream. Why? Because of the pleasure. And again, I'm not making fun of anybody, I'm just trying to put things in the right perspective that we go after pleasure. Now, unfortunately, this is very hard to control, how I put my pleasure under control. There's a very high level of service of Hashem to say, no, now it's not time to receive this pleasure. You know where this desire for pleasure comes from? Because the ultimate pleasure is being attached to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We don't even realize what it means, but when my soul experiences closeness to Hashem, it's the biggest pleasure you can imagine. There's no such pleasure in the world that you can say, it feels like this. In my personal experience, if you ever heard it, if you don't go and listen to it, I said that at one point, like as if some dam opened, some huge gate, and I was experiencing this not normal pleasure, then there's really no such a pleasure in the world that you can say, oh, it feels like that. But it boiled down to unbelievable pleasure. And this is what the souls experience in the world above. There's a big question in the Talmud. What are the souls doing in Gan Eden? Or they're sitting there playing ping pong? Or they're watching HBO? What are they doing there? Sending friend requests? No. It says that the souls are sitting in Gan Eden with crowns to their head. They're just pleasuring the rays of the glory of the shine of the feminine aspect of the divine. Not even seeing Hashem. So it's coming from a very positive place. There's nothing wrong with experiencing pleasure, but where is the pleasure directed to? For Hashem, what we say every Shabbat, what we say Kiddush, Li'ta'aneg al Havaya, pleasure on yourself on Hashem, or not, or pleasure yourself on a piece of chocolate. Now I need to expose and to reveal this desire to experience some type of a godly light into my life. All these desires that we have, we think that we're desiring a car or a good meal or a vacation. It's nonsense, it's not. Because all of these things are possessing in them a godly spark. So I get attracted to it. You don't like the chocolate, you like the godly spark that is in the chocolate. You perceive it as good taste on your taste buds, but this little spark that is in it, if it's kosher of course, then it will bring you some type of pleasure. Now, once I was giving a class to men, and we were talking about men. They have a problem, men. They look at the other gender, and it's a big problem with men. Women don't have that problem so much. Maybe yes, I'm not a woman, but men have that problem. And they have a problem with looking at the other gender. Some of them have a worse problem, they're looking at the same gender. But nevertheless, we were talking about that. And we were, in a very open discussion, and I was explaining a very deep point that I said, why, I told the men, of course, why you are attracted to this woman, not because of her physique, not because of how she looks, because a woman possesses in her a piece of the Shekhinah, and she has a spark of the feminine aspect of the divine, and you are attracted to that. So you just don't see beneath the layers. You don't understand that you are attracted to the Shekhinah. So you're attracted to the physical part. You are in a very low level. Elevate yourself to a high level, you will realize that you are attracted to the Shekhinah, not to the woman. And then you'll be able to make a differentiation between the body and the essence. Everything that attracts you, it's not because you like the taste, because something very deep is in there that is calling you. Why are you attracted to your other half? Why that man and not many other men? Because there's a connection. It's like a magnet. It pulls you. Sometimes you'll go to a city, you'll go to a new home, you'll go to a place, and something attracts you there. Why? Because there's a godly spark that has a connection, and it pulls you. Now I need to know how to expose myself, how to bring myself to the level that my desire, my ratzon, is aligned with Hashem, that I will want to do what Hashem wants, not what I want. And usually it will come in some type of an obstacle. Now, obstacle means there's something physical that will distract me. But nevertheless, my agenda, my goal is to receive this godly revelation. It's called Or Eloki, a godly light. And we explained many times why we call it a light. It's not a light that's coming from a light bulb. Light in Hebrew is called Or. To light something is called Leha'ir. And when we call Hashem light, it means that Hashem is inspiring us, is enlightening us. He's not lighting up the room. He's projecting His wisdom on us or on any other object, and that's this light. Now, the problem is that in order to receive this light has to be a preparation. Without a preparation, then the light will be devastating. You have to have a preparation in order to receive this. This is called hachana. And chas v'shalom, if I don't do that, it can be the complete opposite. The light will actually be destroying than benefiting. Now, 5 things happen on Yud Zayin B'Tamuz. We mentioned the breaking of the tablets, the walls that were broken, the Korban HaTamid was cancelled, the burning of the Sefer Torah, and the Tzelem in the Eichal. Now, we're going to start dissecting. I think we only have time to do 2 of them, maybe 3. But let's go first to the first thing that happened on Yud Zayin B'Tamuz, is the walls were broken. Now, physically, bricks were destroyed and they fell. But really, these walls is representing my framework. If I don't have a framework, then it's a disaster. Has to be some type of a frame. And specifically, when I serve Hashem. Look at an observant individual, wakes up at 5, goes to the mikveh, 5:30. Class, 6. 6:30, minyan. 7:30, this. We're working in a schedule here. And not necessarily it's applying to everybody, but we have a very tight schedule. I have 3 prayers a day, I have to do certain things. This is called a framework, a mizgeret. I don't have that, it's going to be chaos. Now, we have to be able to serve Hashem, and not only that, to operate in a way that we are limited. This is called the gvul. Gvul is a limit. Not that I'm limited, that there's something limit around me. If there's not going to be any limitations, then it becomes, again, chaos. And not only that, I'm not able to contain anything. Now, most people think that a limitation puts you in a state of limitation. A lot of people look at the laws in the Torah and they say, it's limiting. I can't drive, I can't eat, I can't do, I can't this. But really, the real limitation is allowing you to express yourself the right way. If we wouldn't have boundaries and limitations, then there will be chaos. In my own personal life, I wouldn't be able to contain anything. Has to be some type of a limitation. And the walls are representing this limitation. A wall is a structure that is closing things from coming in and preventing things from going out. It's protecting, it's limiting me. I know these are my walls. I don't have more place to go or to grow, to do whatever I want. Which is pretty amazing. I shared that 2 weeks ago, we have this big pond outside, and I went to the place where they breed the fish, the vegetation. And it was a very beautiful place. It's on acres. It's like a huge farm, and they have like 50, 60 ponds on display, but these massive ponds. It's unbelievable. It's a very, very special place. There are millions of fish there. They breed all the types of fish. Very special place. Okay. So I went and bought a few fish to the pond. And I bought them young. They're about this big. And I asked him, how big will they grow? So he told me they have a potential to grow to about this big. And he says, but the fish have a certain hormone in their brain that when they feel the dimension of where they are is not big enough, they won't grow. I was like, oh, so he says it depends on the size of your pond and the environment, and they have a system that they will stop their growth and they're not going to grow. So same thing with us. If I have a definition, then I know what are my abilities, what are my limits, what I'm allowed to cross, what I'm not allowed to cross. I have to have walls. And when the walls were breaking, there was a deeper meaning to that. Now, what happens is, when I don't have walls, there's a problem. And I don't know really the word in English, but in Hebrew it's called hefkerut. I'm sure you heard it living in Israel many times. Mazepo hefkerut. So hefkerut is when there's no laws, when there's no rules. There's anarchy and chaos. This is hefkerut. If there's no walls, then people think that walls are stopping my freedom. That's not true. The limitation is what actually defines my freedom. But not having walls, I become chaos. Now, not exactly, but hefker is when something doesn't belong to anything. Hefkerut is when there's no control, which is kind of related, because when something is hefker, nobody owns it. Anybody can do whatever it wants with it. So hefkerut is that kind of freedom. Do whatever you want.
Free for all.
Yeah, free for all. Now, most of us have a problem with knowing how to express myself the right way. Whether I express myself to my kids, to my spouse, to my students, to myself, to Hashem. Most people don't know how to express themselves to Hashem. Most people, they open the Siddur, they read it, they just read text. They don't express themselves to Hashem. Now, I need to know how to express myself. Now, all this boils down to, how do I define my walls? Now, a lot of people, they see it the wrong way and they think that the walls, the limitation is a problem. So there's a very classic example. Look, for example, at a traffic light. Most people, you ask them, what is the job of a traffic light? They'll tell you to put the red light and to stop you. That's not correct. The traffic light is to show you the green light when you can go. And the traffic light makes order. So a lot of people look at the traffic light as, oh my gosh, I have to stop. It's stopping me. No, it's not. It's actually letting you go. So the limitation, the borders, the walls are a good thing. And when there's breaking of the walls, it's very bad. This is, of course, talking in a more metaphorical way. Now, the walls are originating from the left side of creation, what's called tzad small, gvura, severity. But nevertheless, this is a very smart severity. Gvura, what is called Gvura al pi chokhmah, is the severity. The Gvura coming from chokhmah, not coming from something that is foolish. Now, when the walls are broken, then my existence, I become chaos. In Hebrew, again, we call it mufkar, like hefker bemet. Yeah, you leave it, it's thrown. Sometimes you see kids, they don't have any rules, and you see them walking around in the street in the middle of the night, one shoe on, one shoe off, dirty face. I'm not talking about kids that just walk out and have fun. And sometimes you look at kids, you're like, what is this? What's going on? There's nobody supervising the kid. They do whatever they want. One time they eat at 9, one time they eat at 4, one time they don't eat. I'm not talking about kids that are just playing outside and they get dirty. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is when the walls are broken, my life becomes like a chaos. Most people, and again, this is not to step on anybody's toes, to chas v'shalom hurt anybody, most of our lives are chaos. Look at people's lives, it's chaotic. And it's overwhelming. And then people get depressed from that and sad and angry because life is too much. I can't handle my life. Why can't you handle your life? Because it's too chaotic. So make order, put your life in some type of an order. And this is what happens when there's no limitations. That's why the Torah is all about limitations. If there's not going to be limitations, then you in the beginning think you're free, but then you don't have any control under anything. Now Yud Zayin B'Tamuz has a special remedy, a special power to be commemorating the sorrow of the breaking of those limitations. Because something happened in the past that these walls were breaking. Now I have the ability to really feel sorry for that and to arouse this sadness, the fact that the limitations were broken. But you know what it does? It gives me inspiration to rectify, to fix. When I fall down or if I see damage, then I have the one option of falling down with it or saying, no, I see the damage, now it will inspire me to organize, to bring to a tikkun, to bring to order and to fix something. Now, I have to understand that there's no freedom without walls. So this is the first thing that I need to understand here, that the walls that broke were not necessarily referring to the physical walls. You have to find in your life where your walls were broken. Your walls were broken at some point. Why? Because there's chaos. Nothing is contained inside, nothing is controlling from coming in, and my life is becoming chaotic. I don't have anything protecting me. So I have to figure out where in my life my walls were broken, where is the crack in my walls, so I can rebuild the walls. And it doesn't mean now people, chas v'shalom, should fall into despair. Oh my God, I don't have walls, who am I going to call? Maybe the construction company, maybe the Ghostbusters. Who do I need to call now? You don't have to call anybody. You have to first realize that the walls are broken. Maybe not. Maybe you can find out within you, no, my walls are solid, strong. Nothing comes in and nothing goes out. How do you know that nothing comes in? If in the last week somebody was able to hurt you, then you have a crack in your walls. That's very simple. Because somebody says a wrong word, and you get upset, you get affected, you get angry, you get disappointed. That means that the walls are cracked. Why? Annoyed. There's also another crack in the walls, because a person that is totally balanced and everything is in place doesn't get annoyed, doesn't get angry, doesn't get disappointed, nothing comes in. Nothing comes in. Why? Because I know who I am. I know if I'm right. If I'm wrong, then of course I know that I'm wrong. If somebody says something to me that hurts me because they stepped on my ego, either they're 100% right, which drives me nuts. How do they know? What, is it obvious? Or either they're 100% wrong, and I was like, why are they blaming me? What did I do? But if I'm 100% solid with my plan, I don't care if you think that I'm wrong. This is your problem, not my problem. If I know I'm 100% right, that's what it takes. So this is one of many examples how I can pinpoint if my walls are broken. And again, it's not to chas v'shalom hurt anybody or to put somebody down. It's to understand the situation. And most of us, our walls are broken. Doesn't matter, it can be from a situation that happened to me when I was a kid, can be from a bad marriage, can be from disappointment throughout my life, can be a million and one things. You can look by yourself where your walls were cracked and where they were broken. But this is one thing you need to do. I mean, when you go out from this class, you need to do homework. I can just give you the information and you have to do the rest. You have to sit down and say, make homework. Wait a minute, where did my wall crack? Maybe when I was 4 years old, my mom told me I'm no good for nothing. Maybe that's my crack in the wall. Maybe my 6th grade teacher told me that I'm a loser. Whatever it is, I'm just throwing some examples. But obviously things happen in my life that cracked my walls. Cracking the walls means that things from the outside come in. I get affected, I get offended, I get upset, I get sad, and things also go out. I do a lot of effort and it doesn't stay contained. So Yud Zayin B'Tamuz, just so we can move on a little bit, has the ability to meditate of how am I correcting that, and not only that, to understand the negative part of the breaking of the walls in order to be inspired to fix it, not to be sitting in sorrow. Is to say, okay, what we sing, Ma shaya ya, what was, now move on, look forward, don't look back. Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us a beautiful hint. He placed the eyes in the front of the face. So to hint to you, look forward. If you want us to look back, then you put the eyes in the back. Or you would make another set of eyes. So Hashem says, no, I'm going to completely block the back with hair, so don't look back. Look forward. The next thing that happened on the Yud Zayin B'Tamuz is the tablets broke. Now this is not, I'm talking about an iPad, I'm talking about the 10 Commandments. There were 2 tablets, and there's a reason why there's 2 tablets. We learned that in the Zohar 2 months ago. You can go to those classes and learn why there were 2 tablets. Why not 1 tablet? What's the problem? Why not 3? So, of course, you know the famous story, and when the Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's a famous joke, of course, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, right before Matan Torah, he came to all the nations. He wanted to be fair. And he came to the nations, and he offered them the Torah. So he came to one nation. We're not going to name names, so chas v'shalom, not to annoy anybody, or not to have the war declared on us. But Hashem came to one nation, and he told him, do you want the 10 Commandments? They come on a nice set of tablets. So the nation told him, what does it say there? It says, well, it says, don't steal. Don't steal? Nah, that's not for us. So he went to the next nation. Same thing, do you want the 10 Commandments? He's like, what does it say there? It says don't kill. Don't kill? No. That's not for us. Came to another nation, don't commit adultery. Adultery? No, we can't live without that. Finally he came to the Jews. He says, do you want the 10 Commandments? 10 Commandments? What are the 10 Commandments? Oh, there's a set of rules, and comes on beautiful tablets. He's like, how many tablets do we get? Well, we get 2 tablets. He's like, how much does it cost? Well, it's free. Really? So give us 2. So give us 2 tablets. Why 1? Give us 2 if it's free. So nevertheless, there's a reason why there's 2 tablets, and we spoke about it a few months ago in one of the Zohar classes to explain why specifically 2. But the tablets are representing something very internal in me. I also have tablets in me. Now, what are these tablets? It's where it's engraved on it rules, the basic rules. Each and every one of us has the basic rules of my life. You can call it a political opinion. You can call it many other things. You can call it a way of life. Some people will swear by something, and some will say, no, this is wrong, and they go by that. You can call it opinions, you can call it however you want, upbringing. But usually a person that will grow in a certain house will acquire the same opinions of the house. Sometimes not. But how can it be that one person from the same family will be a Democrat and one person will be a Republican? I'm not now involving politics here, I'm just giving an example. Sometimes you see in the same table 2 brothers and totally different opinions. One person will believe in modern medicine, another person will believe in holistic medicine, another person will believe in this, another person will believe in that. How many times they're in the same family? One person believes in Judaism, another person believes in Christianity. Why? Because we set a certain rules in us. And now to change these rules in me, that's almost impossible. Because it's engraved on my tablets within me. I'm not saying right now what's right and what's wrong. I'm just saying that each and every one of us has a set of tablets within us where my ground rules are defined there. Now, and this is the main part of my life. Now, in the Sfirot, when you want to compare the tablets to the Sfirot, we learned that also in that same Zohar series, is the tablets correspond to 2 Sfirot, Netzach and Hod. Netzach If you remember, we talked about that word, compass, compost, potatoes, matzpen. We'll call it in the original name, matzpen. That's the Hebrew word. The GPS. Netzach is the matzpen, is the compass of knowing. I know things. And I need to understand things. Sometimes people will come and tell you, don't do this, explain to me why. Now there's something going on, especially in this community. It's something worldwide. I'm not going to get into that because that's going to take us now 3 hours to debate. But the whole concept of vaccination. So some people say, don't even dare to vaccinate. Oh yes, so tell me why. So this is what's called a matzpen yediah, the compass of I need to know. We're not going into the vaccination. We're not going to do the debate right now, the vaccination. We can do it in another class. The bottom line is you make your own decision, but it's poison, it's fake, don't even get near to it. But nevertheless, this is, okay, we're not going to get to that, we're not going to open our a can of worms. But nevertheless, why am I saying that? Because this is something that's going on now. I know a lot of questions are being sent. Should we vaccinate? Should we not vaccinate? He said yes, he says no. This is this compass in me that I need to know. Now, this is something pretty fundamental in my system. I mean, if you decide to live a certain lifestyle, it's not one day yes, one day no. You live by according to a decision, and usually you will go through it your whole life. You don't 10 years do this and 10 years do that. Unless somebody can come and really explain to you where in the level of comprehension, of yediah, you get it, and then you can make a change. For many years, for me, in my mind, was totally fine to drive on Shabbat. I'm not killing anybody. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm starting a car. You know how long it took to change the yediah, the comprehension that it's wrong. Now, we are being grown in societies. In some societies, it's totally fine to kill. It's a normal thing to kill. Depends where you grow. In some societies, it's totally fine to commit adultery or to abuse or whatever it is. So we are also a product of our society. Now you move to a different society and they bring you a different type of knowledge. Either you'll totally block this and no, I don't agree with that. It's crazy. Or you'll be like, okay, I want to hear. I want to hear. That's when you're able to change your comprehension, your yediah. And for that, you need a very, very good compass. Don't ask me to say the word again. So, Netzach is the compass of yediah, of comprehension of and understanding. But there's also a spiritual one. This is Hod. Hod is the emotional compass. And sometimes I will react and operate by emotions, not by brain. And sometimes you do things that don't make sense. Why are you doing that? Because, I don't know, that's what I feel. It's the right thing. There's no common sense here. And this is a different side. Now, most people, and again, this class is not about hurting people's feelings. It's to bring down information so we can know how to relate with it. Most people, when they come to make a decision, they are confused. That's most people. Should I do this or should I do that? Are we eating tonight Chinese or Italian? What are we eating tonight? And this is something so small, but do I live here? Do I live there? Do I become a doctor? Do I become a lawyer? Do I marry him? Do I marry him? Well, I'm not marrying any hymns, but since I'm talking to females, I'm saying a hymn. I don't want any weird thoughts coming up here. But nevertheless, most people, when they want to come to a decision, they are confused. Going back again to this balance. You know why people are confused? Because there's no foundation. Again, if you know, my daughter, she likes sewing. So 2 weeks ago when we went to the lecture in Tel Aviv, then we went through my sister-in-law and my daughter, we picked up this big mannequin that you put the cloth on it so you can sew. My daughter's doing amazing. I mean, half the clothes that she wears, she sews them. It's unbelievable. We buy the fabric and she brought her a sewing machine. She mamash designs them. It's beautiful, unbelievable. So we bought this mannequin. Okay. The mannequin is like from the waist up, without a head. Why am I telling you all this? Because it's standing on some base. And when we took it, the base is loose. So the mannequin is like, whoa, wait, don't move. You know, you need to strengthen the base. It's called the yesod, the foundation. If there's no foundation, nothing will be stable. It will be shaking. So if you're looking at the sfirot, the structure of the sfirot, you have netzach on one side and hold on the other side, but what is the base of them? Is yesod. There's a sphira underneath them, is a base that's keeping it straight. How many times you go to a coffee shop and the table is wobbling, and your coffee is here, and then the waiter comes with a scientific solution, and he puts a bag of sugar under the leg or a tissue, and but this is when there's no strong foundation. Things are very shaky. Now, when there's no foundation, then this is the key for all the problems. When there's no strong foundation, then the problem is when there's no foundation, is that's when you start developing theories. The Torah is doing the job for you. It's like buying an essay. Why you want to do it? Just buy it. The Torah came and tell you, here, I'm giving you a book of definition. Don't try to come up with your own theories. Because you come up with your own theories, you're going to reach dead ends. You're not going to get answers. Here's a book. It's compiled by the master of the universe. It has a signature on it, on a copyright, made by God. Why are you breaking your head here? Go through this book of definition and follow it. When I don't have a foundation, this is the key to all theories. People come up with all these theories. Now, when I do not have a foundation, and again, we're going to compare it to the sfirot, when I don't have a yesod, what happens? I am not stable. I'm shaking all the time. When I'm not stable, then first of all, and most important, I'm confused. I'm undecisive. It's making me moody. What do you think the mood comes from? I mean, one day I'm like this, one day I'm like that. Why? I'm shaking like a ship on the ocean, and most people get seasick. The problem is that when a person is very shaky, you know what he does? He invents his own luchot, his own tablets. He makes his own rules, his own theories, his own understanding, and then I make fake tablets. Now, this is a very dangerous situation, because if I am not balanced on one hand and I'm not stable on the other hand, my life is chaos. And again, not to step on anybody's toes, most of people, their life is very unstable. And it's affecting them. Now, if life is smooth, then I'm happy. I'm relaxed, no surprises, things are normal. And sometimes life is so chaotic that people, they're overwhelmed. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to digest this chaos. Now, again, going back to the day of Yud Zayin B'Tamuz, it allows you to build a very strong foundation of the tablets in your heart. You want something strong, the structure has to be strong, but it all depends on the foundation. If the foundation is not strong, it doesn't matter how sophisticated the structure will be, it will still be shaking. So Yud Zayin B'Tamuz is the time that allows me to strengthen my luchot, my tablets within me, in my heart, so I will have this stability and balance in my life.
So the 17th is really on Shabbat.
The what?
The 17th.
I will get to it.
So the meditation
Has to be on Shabbat.
On Shabbat.
Exactly. But I will get to it. That's why I know we're running out of time, but that's why I said we're not going to be able to go through all 5. But 100%, this whole thing, that's different in this year, that it's going to happen on Shabbat. But just to finish this part at least, the luchot, the tablets in Hebrew, the words again, they make much more sense when you're talking in Hebrew. The luchot are called luchot abrit. They don't just call tablets. They're called the tablets of the covenant. Like we sing on Pesach, Shtei luchot abrit. So these are the tablets of the covenant. And a covenant is not a guarantee, what's called a hitchayvut. Not a guarantee, is not a promise, but I would say something between a promise and a guarantee. When we make a covenant, I'm assuring you something. I'm like a contract. So, an enforcement. The word in Hebrew is hitchayvut, that I have to do it. That's why we do covenants. That's why in the Jewish faith, we have a marriage certificate. It's a ketubah. It's a contract. Because if there wouldn't be a ketubah, then why would I stand up to certain rules? So every time that we want to make the other side guarantee to do their part, you make a contract. If I'm buying now a building, a house, whatever it is, and there's a contract. I have to do a certain amount of things. You have to. And if you break these rules, then I'm going to take you to court. So the luchot, they're called luchot habrit, the tablets of the covenant, because there has to be here a hitchayvut, a guarantee. And this is called loyalty. Most people are not so loyal. And that's another problem that we have to deal with. Most people, they're loyal when they can get something out of you. And when that option is over, then there's no loyalty anymore. You're not good for me anymore, you can continue going. Very few people are very loyal. So a real covenant, a real contract, there's loyalty here. Sometimes you ask a person, why don't you do that? Because I have a deal. There's a contract here. I'm loyal. I'm not going to start changing the deal right now because it doesn't fit very well to my desire. So we have an obligation. This is really the word that I'm trying to find. The Luchot Abrit is trying to signify some type of an obligation. If I'm not obligated to do anything, then why would I do it? What will cause me to do it? So when you have obligation, you know what it does to your life? Stability. If I don't have obligations to my boss, then one time I'll come at 2, one time I'll come at 1 time I'm not going to come. But if I have an obligation to my boss, I have to show up at 8, or whatever it is, whatever other obligation I have. So the stability in my life is coming from obligation. The obligation corresponds to the covenant, to the brit, and these are the luchot. I have to know how to bring into my life this structure of obligation and covenants and order, seder. Now, how does that achieved in a very, nothing is easy to achieve, but how is that achieved? Who was the one who gave us the tablets? Is Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is called in the Zohar Raya Mehemna, the trustworthy shepherd, because he was trustworthy to give us the information. He didn't run away with it and sold it to a different nation. Can you imagine Moshe Rabbeinu going to a different nation and says, listen, I have this unbelievable treasure, I'll give it to you for $5 trillion, I'll give you the Torah. So, nevertheless, Moshe Rabbeinu is called Raya Mehemna. Raya Mehemna is a trustworthy shepherd, but the meaning of it, Raya and Mehemna, Raya is a shepherd, is a giver, and Mehemna is emunah, is belief. Is Moshe Rabbeinu and any other leader that is the extension of Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who gives you emunah, faith. There's always going to be a tzaddik. Moshe Rabbeinu was able to bring faith into people. Some people don't have any faith. Can you imagine in the 40s, people came out of the Holocaust, zero faith? Came a few leaders in that generation and picked up the generation. They were so powerful and strong that the nation, it built up their faith. Sometimes a person does something bad to you and you lose faith in humanity. Another person will come into your life and do a certain action, you're like, wow, I can regain faith now in people. So Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who fed us the emunah. So I have to understand that this day is also a very powerful day to say, okay, now I'm going to strengthen my emunah. So I have to understand two things here. We don't have time much more. We'll do maybe the other two real quick. But the breaking of the walls, we already went through it. And Yudzayin Tamuz has the ability to restructure the walls. The breaking of the tablets, I have to find where in my structure the tablets are broken. When there's no commitments, there's no obligation. When everything is chaotic. When there's no strong foundation. And if you want to take it from the back door, is to start developing my emunah. And to building a foundation of faith and trust in Hashem. Now, just to very quickly go through the others, the third was burning the Torah, and the fourth was putting an image, a tzelem, form of an idol in the heichal, in the chamber. But they're both kind of the same, burning the Torah, and they happen in the same place. Now comes the question: what's so wrong with the tzelem? Why aren't we created? B'tzelem Elokim nivra Adam. We're created in the image of God. Why is it so bad to put a tzelem in the heichal, in the chamber? But the explanation is, and that's equivalent to the Torah, is tzelem is something that is foreign to me. And I need to know in me what is, so to say, affecting me that is foreign to me. In the technological world, we'll call it a virus. You have sometimes your computer doesn't work, there's a virus. Why? Because something went into your system and it's ruining things there. Even in our physical world, there's sometimes a virus. So this tzelem is something that is foreign in my system. I need to really see what is foreign in me, this tzelem, that is causing me, affecting me from the inside. Something that is attacking me like a virus, and I need to take an antivirus as an antidote here. And this is, of course, we're talking here in the more spiritual and the emotional level. But nevertheless, what I need to take from that Yud Zayin B'Tammuz is a very powerful day. Now here, this year will be a little bit tricky because Yud Zayin B'Tammuz falls on Shabbat. The fast is on Sunday. So first of all, just to practically saying, everything that we talk now, meditate on it on Shabbat, because Shabbat is the day. The extra bonus we're getting here is that we have just the Shabbat without the morning factor to focus on. So we kind of separate. So the positive we have on Shabbat, and the negative morning, not morning, early in the morning, not in the morning, the destruction. So we have it actually separated. Usually it will fall on the same day. First of all, I get double power today, so I get 2 days. More than that, the positive side of it falls on Shabbat. Anything you do on Shabbat is 1,000 times more powerful. Just meditate on this on Shabbat and make yourself the right decisions. Take an hour, half an hour, a minute of your time to think of what we said now. A video will be loaded today online. Go and see the rerun. So you make yourself a few notes. What do I need to do and concentrate on Shabbat? Then you have 1,000 times the power on Shabbat without the factor of the morning. Now on Sunday, we still mourn, we still commemorate, so you have an extra day to you double power. But really, the day of Yud Zayin B'Tammuz is Shabbat, and that's how you can take advantage of the positive side of it. But nevertheless, it's an auspicious day. It's like an exit. The auspicious days that we have in our calendar is like coupons. I mentioned that so many times that when I live now 17 years in America, almost 18 years. And there's one thing that I never figured out what's going on there. Great country, but some weird customs. Every holiday, they have a sale. 4th of July, 90% off. Memorial Day, shop all you can. Veterans Day, buy one, get two free. Why are you giving me deals, Dafka, on these holidays? Why can I have a deal on September 24th? Why? Because it's a holiday. It's an auspicious time. We want you to spend money. So you think the Americans invented the coupons? Hashem invented coupons. And Hashem comes every now and then and He tells us, here's a special day. I'm giving you a 90% off coupon. Take it. Take it. It's going to be easy today. To do the same type of work on a regular day will require a lot of energy. And it's going to be very hard for you. I didn't say impossible, just very hard. But on an auspicious day, it's catered to you. Just do a little change, a little decision. It will be much, much easier. These are auspicious times. So it's like driving, sometimes these highways, you have some of the highways have an exit every a mile, and sometimes you go in the express lane, there's no exits. You fly on the highway, and every now and then you take an exit. Or like these express trains or whatever it is. This is an exit. This is an exit where Hashem tells you, take the light of this day. If physically we see the darkness of the day, must be that equivalent is the light of the day. That's how it works in this spiritual world. So take this power of this day and transform it. And make yourself realize where you're holding, who you are, what's your boundaries, what are the walls that are broken, where am I lacking my foundation, so I can take this unbelievable power to affect me. It will affect you. If you do it the right way, it will not only affect you, it will change your life. And who doesn't want to have rules in their life, and good rules, and boundaries, and stability, and foundation, and not to be distracted so easy, not to be confused, not to be sad and depressed, and so forth? The only one who gains from that is you. So you have an unbelievable opportunity this Shabbat, not only to dream on the chunt and those hard-boiled eggs, to internalize, wait a minute, something very powerful is happening today. How am I applying that? Now if I will come and tell you, here's a shovel, start digging outside, I heard there's gold there, you will be digging for 12 hours till you find the gold. When it comes to Kedusha, come and take a moment to change something in your path of Kedusha. No, it's time to take my afternoon nap right now. So don't take your afternoon nap. I mean, you can do whatever you want. Don't come and stand now, sit like this. What's up? No, Rabbi Alon told me not to take a nap. I'm about to faint here, but so you can take a nap, but take time in your day to say, wait a minute, I do have an opportunity here. I like working with notes. You see, I like everything is with notes. I like putting everything in writing so I can observe something. There's a big thing why you put things in notes or in writing. You bring it in the universe. You're able to observe it. You take it out of your system and now it's on a different entity. And you can make a list in your life. What do I feel is my broken walls? Where do I think the walls that are broken in me, where did it come from? Maybe I can track back to something and fix it. And everything that I said, I don't want to repeat myself over and over, but if you want to do yourself a favor, you put it down in organized writing and you think it over and you make a plan. And this is a very auspicious time to open the opportunity, and the only one that will benefit from it is you. You have the opportunity to take something very dark in your life and to transform it into something light. You have an opportunity to take something negative and do something positive of it. And again, the only one who benefits is you. And needless to say, everybody around you. So all that's left is to wish you success in everything that you do. You should have a very easy fast for the ones who are fasting. It should be a meaningful fast. When I became observant, people tell me you should have a meaningful fast. I was like, what kind of a meaningful fast is? I'm going to be starved to death. What's the meaning here? So it took me about a decade to figure out what does it mean, a meaningful fast. Meaningful is that take the day, stop, instead of spending, how many minutes are you going to spend on eating? I mean, a plate of food is, it's like 30 minutes sometimes. Sometimes you imagine how many minutes a day you're spending on food. So now you don't have those minutes. Take these minutes to think. And instead of chewing with your mouth, chew with your brain. Wait a minute, what am I doing to change my path? How am I benefiting and better, making my life better? You'll make a change in your life. You'll make a huge change in your life. And this is the time to do it. So B'ezrat Hashem should be very helpful to you, and it should be successful, and you should reach your goals. Find your boundaries, found your goals where you want to reach. If you remember in the beginning we started, but the goal is to be close to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that is my goal, is how close am I getting to Hashem, because that's the ultimate happiness and blessing. B'ezrat Hashem, it should be a meaningful and benefit fast to you all.